YouTube.
Awesome. Have we heard from Tony? Is he coming in?
I'm going to check here in just a second here.
So Terry, while he's doing that, so have you been using the grids on any, like, on a daily basis or weekly or any frequency?
How do I word this? I've been using the concept, but not necessarily. I've been using the awareness. There we go. I haven't necessarily written it down, but
Yeah.
just the awareness of holding joy and holding my center and, being abundant and being in flow and gratitude. It just is a reminder for me to stay in that vibration.
Yeah, no, I love that, right? I've talked with a lot of people, and I always say it's not about necessarily the method. It's about just taking that time to become familiar with your emotions. I was having a conversation earlier today with someone, and I was talking about the fact that, like, if you set out a goal and say, like, you wanted to become a millionaire, successful, or an entrepreneur, and you want to feel, that if you're going to go through the path of manifestation, you want to find out what that feeling is on the other side of that event that you're wanting, right? And then the idea is, they say, feel that in the moment that you have that clear intent about it. And then to me, I started thinking, I was like, well, would it be also helpful if we practiced those emotions, right? And started to dial in and really create that sense. Because for me, like, if I'm trying to feel or become something that I've never been before, I can imagine how it might feel, but how do I really know, right? So if I start practicing those feelings that are close to it, I feel like I'm moving myself in that direction, right? And it's I think that's a key part, right? Is just remembering to apply it as often as you can, right? There's no reason to not feel those feelings every day if possible.
Mm. And can I share something interesting that's happened?
Sure.
My laptop's kind of on the fritz. I couldn't get on, so I'm on my iPhone, holding my iPhone.
Yeah.
So I literally can feel your vibration in the palm of my hand when you're speaking. The phone vibrates.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. That's a feature we didn't even know was there, right? Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
I'm excited
Well,
because with this class, we're going to be focusing on different elements. We're basically taking health, we're taking finances, and we're taking love, and we're creating a master grid that will cover like those three primary. It's three primary or four primary areas.
yeah, three. So what I was gonna do over here on this part is just actually, I'm gonna guide a little bit, right, and show you guys some techniques that I've learned that's helped me to dial into the stronger, more passionate emotions and stuff, and help find a place from wherever I'm at to wherever I want to be. And then that way, for some people, these things will be really easy, but for those, in case no one's heard the concept, they can kind of see how to build a grid that can help them to get to feelings they may not even really be aware of, that they are, or know that they can be aware of.
Okay. Well, I think we should go ahead and get started, and then Tony. Tony's in Australia. He's on the other side of the world. I haven't heard back from him, which is not like him. Normally, he's pretty much Johnny on the spot. So I hope that he will be jumping on fairly soon. But if not, we can go ahead, and I'm sure between us we can come up with words that can fulfill the health portion. Um,
Absolutely.
so let's move forward. So
Okay.
let's get started.
All right. So just again, then what we're going to do is, I've got a grid built out here for us, 4 by 4, so that we can have 16 words. And then I'm going to kind of focus some guiding words here. And then we'll start with some words related to each of the topics, which are, financial abundance, health, and then love and relationships. And then we'll work the grid out from there. So there's a process that I kind of stumbled on when I was first doing this. I was really, trying to figure out how to how to feel emotions that weren't really common to me, and that I was, sometimes as a man you just get kind of, you're not supposed to feel all these, mushy, gushy, happy emotions. People expect you to be tough and hard, and if you do that long enough, like, you kind of forget. So, I started exploring, and I kind of stumbled across something that was really, really helpful to me. So I'm going to kind of integrate that a little bit into the process as we go. But I'll start off with the first word. And this word, I want to just, this is a really good general starting place word. You can use a word a lot of times if you're really trying to figure out, but that word is now, in case it's small on your screen.
you.
But, you could use a word like relief or clarity, but I chose now because really there is no resistance to the word now. You're literally asking yourself, how do you feel right now? Right now in this moment, how do you feel? And you can feel your fingers, you can feel your toes, you can feel your body. And just as you kind of start to think about, how do I feel right now in this now moment, right? You start to let go of maybe worries and tomorrow. And the idea is to get yourself into a calm, centered place of mind, right? So you're really kind of cleaning the board off, right? I'm going to let go of, as many frustrations, or release any resistance that I can, and get into the now moment, right? And then what I do, and I'll fill this out here and then we'll expand this way. The next thing that I typically look for, and it's easier to find from the now moment, is clarity. So as I'm going through these words, what I encourage anybody listening, or those on the phone here with us, or on the call with us, is, just let these words saturate them in your mind. Just think, how do I feel right now? What does clarity feel like? Just, can you remember a time where you felt clarity? Think of that moment when something happened and you're like, yeah, in that moment, I really felt like I knew exactly what I needed to do. And I was, it just, everything made sense to me. Find that and think about that thought, right? And let that thought kind of well up, and remember it. Let it know that that's part of you. You've experienced it once. It's written in your brain. You can definitely experience it again because the pathways are there in your mind. The next thing down the grid I would do would be something a little more like satisfaction, right? So, from clarity, like, I want to take it up a level. I want to get to contentment or happiness or something. You can use any soft word, joy, contentment, but anything that's just a little bit more than clarity. So now we're kind of getting into the good feelings. So I'm going to do satisfaction. And then from satisfaction, so I think about, what's satisfying. Like, it can be as simple as, your favorite dessert, some good chocolate. It's real satisfying, right? You can think about petting your dog or your cat, right? It's so satisfying. And it's a good thing. You can think about the chair that you're sitting in, or the clothes that you're wearing, something that's just satisfying. You just want to find anything that personally what satisfaction is, and just let yourself feel that satisfaction. And just take a moment, kind of breathe it in, and just remind yourself, or let yourself become aware. This is satisfaction, and I can feel this, and I'm in that moment, right? Let that become part of you. And then what I'm going to do for the last one is appreciation. Now, appreciation, you could use a word like thankful, gratitude. You could use love. You could use joy. You could use any number of words, something that feels like an appreciation. And Lillian, you and I have talked about this before, but there's a term a lot of people know of in finance world. It's depreciation. So the lowering or the diminishing of value over time. So when you think about appreciation, it's increasing value. So when we look at something and we think that it's beautiful, we think that it's lovely, we think that it's good, we're appreciating that thing. And thereby we're raising the value of that in our mind. So for appreciation, what I like is, because it doesn't necessarily require someone to give something to you and you be thankful for it, is literally just to look at anything that you have currently in your existence and just feel appreciation for it. Again, this could be your dogs, your cats, your kids, your house, your clothes, whatever in your life. Find something that you truly appreciate, and then just dwell in that for a moment and let that thought kind of well up inside you. And I see it looks like Tony's joined us.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Tony, are you there? I see he's on mute. It's okay. You can jump in. Oh, here it comes.
Right.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm out shopping. Can't say too much, but I'd love to. We'll just step out. But yeah, look, thanks. I've just chimed in. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
I'll just
Yeah,
listen
so
in.
yeah, listen in, and then if you can jump in, jump in. What I laid out is we're going to do a 4x4 grid, and I've started off here, and then we're going to take from the topic of financial abundance, health, and relationships, love and relationships, and then we're going to start across and then come down and fill this grid out. And I'm going to show a little technique for how to find new words and spaces to help build the momentum of the feelings that we want. So if you can jump in, especially there in the health and well-being, that'd be great. If not, we'll just listen in and enjoy the ride. Awesome. Okay, so now we've got this. So what we're gonna do, Terry and Tony and Lillian, is we're gonna find a starter word for each of those, but we're going to work from the place of now and find something that is just kind of basic and general. So when we think about financial abundance, and Terry, if you think of a word that that you feel or that you want to feel, what is that? What would be that driving motivation for financial abundance?
Well, stability feels really good to me.
So stability, right? So you just want to feel stable or like sure or secure, right? So is stability that word that when you think about it, you recognize that feeling and you can feel it kind of in your now moment?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great word. So stability. Stability. There we go. All right. So let's reach out now and then kind of think about, this is again looking for just those basic words. We're thinking about health, right? So when we think about health and healing, right? Tony, if you can think of a word, just a general word, something that's easy, something that you can feel in relation to your health right now. Is it happiness? Is it wholeness? Is it comfort, relief? Whatever that word may be for you.
I'm thinking. There's a ton of words, but just well or wellness.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, just feeling well, just feeling generally good and feeling okay, and like there's not necessarily an immense feeling, but just feeling well and just content, right?
Yeah, just a full-bodied well.
Well, okay, so we'll work with well. I love that. All right, Lillian, we're gonna grab one from you. So when it comes to like love and relationships, and you think about what you want, what can you feel kind of now in that now moment? Like what is an emotion tied to relationships or tied to what you want in love that you can reach right now? Is it companionship? Is it kindness? Is it, fun? What is that word for you?
Well, all of those are included. Happiness, kindness, fun, funny. I would also say happier. It's like
Happier.
I'm happy, but it would be even happier because now I have, my partner to share that joy and that happiness with.
How about what about uplifting? Something a little
Yes.
more uplifting. Okay,
Yes.
let's do uplifting.
Uplifting.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Uplifting.
So this is something we can think about, when in moments in our time that we felt uplifting. There's been surely times where we felt well and times where we felt a certain sense of stability. Maybe it's not always, but we find those emotions and we feel them. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come down the financial one. So what I would do is think about clarity and think about stability. And then I ask myself, if I was feeling really clear, I was feeling really stable. And I think of a moment where there was clarity. And then I also think of that moment where there was stability. And then I get into that creative space. If I could imagine a moment where I was feeling both clarity and stability, what might I be feeling at that moment? Terry, if you're thinking about clarity and you're thinking about stability and how those things feel, what might you feel if you were, how would you define it if you were feeling both of those things at the same time?
Vibrant.
Vibrant. I love that. That's beautiful.
I love that too.
So we're feeling clear. We've got stability. It's in our vibration. We got vibrant in our vibration. So what if while we're feeling this vibrant feeling, this bubbling or emanating of light, what if we were also feeling satisfaction, right? So think that time, then you're petting that cat or you're eating that chocolate and it's so good and you're both vibrant and satisfied. What is that feeling to you, Terry?
Connected.
Connected. I love it. There you go. Now you're feeling stable and vibrant. You're feeling connected. You have clarity. You have satisfaction. Let's add appreciation. If we add appreciation into that mix of feelings that you're having, that connected, because connected now represents all of those feelings we've talked about. That's a great feeling. So now you're feeling connected and you're having an immense sense of appreciation, because in that moment when you're feeling connected, there's something there with you that you're appreciating. What does that feel like?
It feels like there's flow, there's freedom, like it's everything's everything's just working together.
Yeah, exactly. Freedom. I love that, right? Because you got no worries. You're stable. You're connected. You're feeling vibrant. You're satisfied, right? So is freedom. Does that sound like a good word?
Yes.
All right, let's use freedom. It's beautiful. So as you see, by doing this way, you build those words, every emotion on it. You're building that energy up, right? So we're going to come over here to health and well-being. Now we've got this energy established. This is a good, healthy, freeing energy, right? And we can look at this. So Tony, we said we started off with and we know that we found inside of vibrant is some clarity. So in this clear, vibrant feeling that we're experiencing and sharing together, and we're also feeling well in our bodies, at that moment, what is that combination? What is that triggering you? What do you feel?
The first word that comes up is just alive.
Alive. It's beautiful. You feel vibrant, alive.
Like
You're
alive.
you're feeling well. It's a little
I
more
can feel
than, yeah, go ahead. Oh, you might have lagged just a little bit. But yeah, as we're waiting for him to come. Yeah, as we're waiting for him to come back. So, we're feeling clarity, vibrance, stability, well, and alive. Oh, there he is. I think you're back now, Tony. So
yeah, cool.
you feel alive, and it's more than just being well. It's now you've got that energy moving forward. You feel like you can accomplish something, right?
Yeah.
So satisfaction, right? So we're going to think about connected. There's an element of satisfaction in this connected. So if you're feeling alive and connected, right? Think about feeling that connected, that satisfaction, all those words we've talked about. Now you're adding this feeling of alive in there. What's that new feeling to you?
It just comes up as purpose or purposeful.
Purposeful.
It's as if your movements or your moments or your decisions there's purpose or intent in that.
Yeah, meaningful, right?
Yeah, meaningful.
Meaningful.
Yeah,
You want
meaningful.
purpose?
Yeah,
Meaningful.
actually, meaningful's great. Meaningful's great. It just gives you. Yeah, I can feel that.
Okay, yeah, let's do meaningful.
Because then that's infused in anything that you do. It's meaningful.
Yeah, it's meaningful, right? So you're feeling well and you're feeling alive and you're feeling meaningful. And then you add some appreciation in there, freedom. You're feeling meaningful. Your life is meaningful and you're feeling free. You're feeling free. You have no worries. You're meaningful and you're free. What do you do in that moment? How do you feel? Who are you in that moment?
I mean, the word that comes is just happiness. It's just happiness. Just
happiness, joy.
Yeah. It's just the flower blossoms, and it has no doubt. It's just that you're just open to happiness, which is just the flowering.
Yeah. So all of those words, you open, flowering, blossom, happiness, joy.
Oh,
Any of those are all in that space, and they're all wonderful words. And I say that because anyone listening, use the word that connects. So out of those words, what connects the most for you, Tony?
Just happy's not enough. Happy's not enough. It's more than happy. All right, flowering.
Flowering. Okay. All right.
I've
Yeah.
never used that word before, but today's the day.
It's, you know, it's good to create new associations too, because there's no resistance in that word, right? There's no,
Yeah,
sometimes
no.
with certain words, like we get, oh, you know, I don't like maybe worthy because there's unworthiness. You know, people get, so if the word that comes up, that's your inner being, your subconscious is going, here, try this word, right? You know, and so you can put
yeah.
that word, and then you think that flowering, when I feel like I'm flowering, I feel like I'm blossoming, I'm feeling clarity, satisfaction, appreciation, freedom. I'm flowering. I feel stability. I'm vibrant, connected. There's freedom. I'm flowering. I feel well. I feel alive. I feel meaningful. I'm flowering. I'm blossoming. My consciousness is opening up, and I'm feeling amazing inside, right? That's that feeling that's connected to exactly what you want, Terry. Freedom is the feeling connected exactly to what you want. Those are those feelings. And when you find that feeling, right, and you can focus on that feeling, you're now following, you have the scent of your future, and you're following that pathway to it. All right. So for me, like, this is beautiful that you use this. I was looking for a word, and Tony, I was like, wow, I want to feel like things have started. I don't want to feel like I'm waiting for things. What's that word? What's something? And so I was playing with my grid this way. And so I said, you know what? I want to feel like things have begun.
Germinating.
And so I use the word begun. So the word begun to me, it means that my adventure has started, that I'm in the middle of it, that I'm in the midst of it, and that the journey is taking place. So, you know, so there's a word that had no emotional connotation to me at all, but now it does. Now it's a significant word to me. So you can do that. You can bring a word in that you've never used before, and just label that emotion. Now you have something, and when you think flowering, you're going to know this emotional moment, be able to come right back to it and draw that emotion out. So Lillian, so we've been feeling all of these fantastic things, and uplifting, right? So we're thinking, you know, we're feeling free, and we feel like we're flowering, right? And we're uplifting. And in that moment where we're feeling uplifting and we feel alive, what is that moment to you? What would you call that moment in an emotional word?
I would say vibrant.
Vibrant. Okay, well,
Oh,
I'm
we
gonna
already used
pull a rule in. We've already used vibrant. We're gonna go
vibrant.
with new words.
So I would say then invigorating.
Invigorated. Invigorating. Okay. So invigorating. So talk to me about invigorating. What does invigorating mean to you?
So invigorating to me is something that I feel the energy moving inside me. I feel like there's progress. I feel like there's growth. I feel like there's expansion. I feel like there's an intention of moving forward and upward.
Right.
Um,
It's
I
your
feel
dreams coming true, right?
it's like
You're having that
brilliant.
motion forward.
Yeah, it's like a light and a brilliance about it. Um, yeah, invigorating, like life giving.
Yeah. Yeah, so you feel that life giving. So we're feeling uplifting, we're feeling invigorating, like everything is connected, and we're on a path. And this path, we found it through clarity, we're going to bring in satisfaction, and we can feel connected and meaningful. And in this invigorating moment, we're feeling this strong energy and this connection to the world, as we have this freedom, and it's moving us forward, and it's meaningful. It's so meaningful to us in this moment where you feel so invigorated, and it's so meaningful. In that moment, what do you feel?
It's like progress or progression. It's like first I thought fulfillment, but fulfillment feels like it's complete, as opposed to like a progression where you're progressing, moving forward, expanding, still in that open, creative growth type of place that feels
Growth. I
yeah,
love that word, growth, right? So it's just, you're getting bigger, right?
yeah,
You can feel it.
progress, progression, yeah.
Yeah, and it's meaningful, and growth. And when change occurs that's meaningful, it's growth.
Yeah, it's
Meaningful
green and
change is
growing.
always growth, right? So we're having this feeling of invigoration, this life, and it's
Mhm.
pushing us forward through our boundaries. We're having this feeling now of growth. So now we've got a lot of energy built up, right? We've got a lot of good feelings, and then we're dancing across this board, and it's just feeling fantastic. And we're going to come to our last word. So, in the theme of appreciation and this freedom we're feeling, and we're flowering, there's been upliftingness and invigoration and growth. And so you feel this growth, this motion forward. You're reaching, you're obtaining your dreams. You're sure, you're confident, you're clear, right? You're having this growth and you're flowering. Your life feels energetic. You're healthy in your body. You're successful. What is that moment to you?
So I'm getting several words. So I'm getting like expansive, but I'm also getting like liberating,
Liberating. I love that.
like very liberating. And yeah, it's like this liberation of love, liberation of energy, liberation of creativity. It's like this very whole liberation.
Whole, right? Yes. Have we used so wholeness? There's wholeness, but is it more than wholeness? Is it enveloping? It's liberating. It's you said expansive, reaching out, right? So it's going beyond you. So it's more than you, maybe bigger, right?
Mhm.
That moment that's bigger. And we're talking about love, right? We're drawing. So when you think about love and relationships, right? And we're thinking about all these things, and this is who you're coming. So this, what maybe is the word potentially perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, it would be like a growing perfection.
Yeah,
Like,
perfection.
hmm
Yeah, perfection. Do you like that? Is that good? We'll do
yeah,
perfection.
I
Okay.
like that.
All right. So perfection. So all of that energy wrapped up. I think perfection is a perfect word because it captures everything. And there's nothing wrong with us thinking that we're perfect because you know what? We are. Every single one of us, where we're at, and our flaws, everything we go through in our life, we're perfect. But that is how I would go and find and create words. So to exercise my creative ability, right? And so let me ask you guys, let's start, Terry, with you. How does that feel to you? What do you feel good? Do you feel like you're in a better state as we work through these?
Did you address that to me?
Yes, yeah, to you, Terry.
Yeah, it feels just like this brilliance, I feel like I'm out in the cosmos with a million stars around me glittering with them.
Right? Isn't that amazing? Just recognizing these feelings and playing with them and asking yourself, if I add a little bit of this great feeling and a little bit of this great feeling, what would that be? Because we're alchemists, right? So I know a lot of people have read the book The Alchemist. We have this chemistry, this emotional vibration that we can control through the focus of our thoughts, and then we can take all the good things in our life and we can bring them together. And then where do we feel them? Right now. Because when we started out, now was just how we were feeling in that moment. So how are you feeling now? You just changed your now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Tony, how about you?
Absolutely.
Wow. I'm in my heart and I'm just beaming. I'm like, wow, all of this is potential. All of this is this moment. All of this is possible. And I wasn't like that before I got on the call.
Yeah.
So,
Right. So
yeah.
where were you? You're in the same now when you started, but the only difference is in your now, you focused your thought and your attention into those things that are the signals, the emotional signatures of everything that we want in our life, that you want in your life. And so if you think about the law of attraction and how that works, you're in alignment with the future you want right now. It's happening right now. It's being pulled towards you and you're being pulled toward it in this moment. And you can do this that easily every day if you want to. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Lillian, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
I feel exuberant right now. I'm just like, this is pretty cool that, you know, with it didn't even take us half an hour to get to this point where you've really upped us all a notch just through this simple grid work. And this is showing us also that, yeah, this is something that we can do alone, which most of us, most of the time, will do it alone. but it's very fun and enjoyable to do it with others too. So if we need an accountability partner, we can
Hmm.
drum up an accountability partner and say, "Hey, I just learned this thing, this grid work. It's kind of new. Every morning for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, do you want to get together and just throw some words together?" And you may even want to use these 4 categories because you've got the
Yeah.
first one that deals with the now, which really automatically brings you into the present moment and makes you mindful about where you are. It's kind of like a temperature check
Right.
and the direction that you want to go with your finances, with your health, and with love. And it's a great, thing that you can do with your buddies, with your girlfriends, with all kinds of friends. It doesn't matter whether it's just, you and one other person, you by yourself, or even with a group of friends. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever feels good to you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so, and the thing is, if to me, if you got up tomorrow and what you were feeling was perfection, if Tony, the first thing you think of in the morning, you're feeling this emotion, put this one right here. Start with that one and then build off of it. And you can build and find out what's beyond flowering. What's beyond that? Go as far as you can, go as deep as you want to, right? Because just like, when we think about, when you kind of focus downward, they call it that downward spiral, and you can just stay in those forever. You can do the same thing up, right? You can focus into that and say, look, I want to look a little closer at this love. I want to get a little deeper in it, and it's just going to keep unfolding because it is an infinite channel, right? So as deep as you want to go into it, it's out there for you. And the emotion is going to be there. Where we will lack and find the limitation are words. It will have a harder time just going, what do I call this incredible feeling? You know what? Calling it incredible. Just whatever that word is that comes out of your mouth, right? Whatever that thought is, because it's personal now to you. You're dialing in your code and your association. So I like to do that progression, right? Because I can start softly and get more and more intense, and then I can pull that through my grid. But I would say that, for Terry or anybody, if these are the words that come up, if you're going on a topic, right? Those 4 words, if those 4 words are the part of the pathway to something that you want and something that you've asked the universe for, this is how you show your faith every day. You feel those things and you say, I know in this now moment they exist and I'm drawing them to me and I'm connecting to them. So, this is why I would encourage someone to, if it's not grid work, like, I believe Terry was saying, she doesn't necessarily draw the words out, but she thinks about them, right? So these would be words that would be great to be thinking about for financial well-being, for thinking about health. And Tony, more specifically, because as we're working with you for the words, when you're thinking about that health and that life and that that body that you want, right? These words are most likely meaningful to you. So, they would be great words to have in your grid and find in your grid or reach for every day, right? And then same thing, when you're thinking, Lillian, about relationships, you have 4 words there, right? When you're thinking about, do I feel uplifting? Do I feel invigorating? Do I feel growth and perfection, right? Maybe even before having an interaction with someone that you might be a potential love interest, right? Do a little, just a 2x2 grid. Grab those 4 words and center yourself into that and see how that starts to manifest out in your relationships. And that can go for any of us, I think, because we're all contributing to this grid. Any of us can all use this. The beautiful thing is we have all benefited from each other's desire, right? So whatever your desire was, everything that you guys wanted, we all took that journey together as we shared this. So there's a little more money in my vibration now. There's a little more health in my vibration. There's better relationships in my vibration, right? That goes for all of us. Like, it's such a beautiful thing to just get to spend time and do with your grids, and like, I don't know, maybe one day people are just kind of meeting up for coffee and they're like, hey, let's build a grid and get happy together, find our coherent vibration, right? I would work when I was in the corporate world, before I would get a meeting and I was trying to get a team rallied. I didn't have this process, so I wasn't doing exactly this, but in a way I was. I would go around, I'd ask everybody, what are you feeling right now? How are you doing right now at this now moment? And find and start lifting up and find those connections between people that were strong, and then just really spend time thinking about those and letting them saturate. And you can uplift a group of people. And I believe that any group of people, if they're willing to think in this way, right, can find coherence. They can find connection. You know,
Absolutely.
and I mean, Lillian, we've seen it there at Dr. Joe's events. 1,500 people, coherent across the board. Like, you know what I mean? There's nobody ringing out a vibration. Every person you can just walk up and you can hug. So it is absolutely possible to find that level of coherence and connection with nearly anyone who's willing, at least.
Anyone who's willing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to share. I just had a few nights ago, and I know during our private conversation, Clint and I, we talked about it a little bit, but my best friend, Tammy, and I, we were just talking, and she was kind of not admonishing me sounds like she was scolding me. She wasn't scolding me, but she was pointing out to me, it's like, what are the different, because I mentioned to her how, especially during the 90-day heart make coherence, the 90-day heart made consciousness experiment, I had several meditations where, oh my gosh, the meditation, I could feel the guy so real, and like the sensations were so amazing. So so she aired to me, she goes, every time I ask you, it's like, how does that feel? She says, you always respond good. And so then she pointed out to me, good, like at school, there's no way you would never go for good, because that's like a C and you were an A student. So she goes, work with me here. She goes, give me something a little bit more. Tell me, elaborate more. And it's like, I'm not going to let you just sit at good because you're not a C student. And I said, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you're so right. I didn't realize that I didn't realize that I was telling her good.
Right.
And so as she goes, every time I ask you, you say good. And it's like, she goes, she's been meaning to say something. And so finally she says something, and I'm like, okay. So she goes, tell me more. What does this, she goes, you felt this person in the 5D, you've experienced them. It's like realer than anything in the 3D. So let's kind of milk this along the lines of what Esther teaches us to, pay the price of joy, right?
Yeah.
So I started, we didn't write anything down. It was doing the word grid in word form, because she's in Hawaii, I'm over here, and we weren't on a FaceTime or a Zoom call. We were just over the good old fashioned, phone. And so she's like, she's basically, tell me more. And what else do you feel? And what else do you sense? And what is, she just kept on digging down through that well of emotion to
Yeah.
get to the core feelings. And so as I kept on playing this energetic game with her of audio word grid, if you will.
Yeah.
I just kept on feeling that my emotions were going higher. I was feeling higher. I was feeling more elevated. I was feeling more blissed out. I was feeling more enthralled. I was just like, oh my gosh, almost euphoric in that interchange. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And it's like, I got to write it down. And she's like, no, don't get into your left brain. Just stay with that feeling right now. And just that pool of words, the pool of emotions that you've been describing, just sit with how good that energy is.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
took it a step further, which
Oh,
I never. She goes, okay, so when you dated this person, did you feel that? If it's not a hell yeah, it's a hell no, because an I don't know equals
no. Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, I go, that's what I keep on telling her. It's like, either it's a hell yeah or a hell no, right?
Yeah.
So we kept on going through that, and that was a very interesting exercise. And so when we were done, I was like, I was joyous, I was blissed out. I was like, yeah, that was really cool. And then I sat down and I'm like, okay, I wrote down as many of the words as I could, which I think I showed you when we did our private talk.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
wrote down all the different words, and I don't know if I covered all of the ones that we did, but probably the most important ones I did get down on that piece of paper, which I gotta say, my vibe has been lifted up just from that interaction, and then focusing on that all the way to today. I kind of feel that built a stronger foundation and brought me more clarity and more discernment, which I didn't anticipate. I knew that I'm coding in those things, no question about it, but it gives you a greater sense of knowingness and of peace, knowing that you've already taken from the as above, so below. So as you created it in consciousness, you've accepted, received, and embraced it. Now you have it literally written where you it's like a brain dump. And at
Right.
the same time, it's kind of like a feedback loop where it's like now you're seeing it, it's going back in again. And you're like, oh, now my Raz is going. It's like
Yeah, and
kind of sorting and sifting for that.
you're letting your conscious awareness become conscious of the the source energy, the quantum,
Mhm.
the field, right, of that subconscious spiritual element, right, the
Mhm.
thought, right, that
Mhm.
thought is manifested. And one thing that I love about this, right, is that every single one of these that we went through, if you felt something
Mhm.
inside you, that was an instant manifestation. It's an instant manifestation of
Mhm.
that emotion, which means you said, I want stability, and then you felt it. That's how powerful we are. It blows my mind, right? If and we can get really like distracted from this, but we have the power to instantly manifest. And as we instantly manifest and we fill our coffers full, we think of the abundance. You want abundance and you want wealth and you want freedom. Start stacking your storehouses with these feelings, right? Put this in your experience and let this be part of your history every day that you're feeling this way, and I'll be very surprised if you don't find that that abundance and that wealth is manifesting in your life and in many ways, right? You know, something I was thinking about that interaction you said you were having with that lady, appreciation, the raising of value. Would you say that you feel like your own self-value raised during that interaction?
Oh, absolutely. I
So
felt,
she was appreciating you.
yeah,
She
I
was
felt,
appreciating you, and it lifted your value, and you were appreciating her for the value lift, right? So isn't that
yeah.
it's
Well,
beautiful because it's
that was,
harmonious.
I'm so glad that you said that because it's like in that moment as there's got to be a better word than admonish. I think like bring to light it's probably better
Yeah,
expression. She brought to light the fact that I would say, oh, it's good. Oh, it's good. It's like, she's like, no, you've done good before. You don't
yeah,
want good. You want excellent. You want A, not just an A, you want A plus plus plus, right? And I'm like,
right.
yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's exactly right. So in that moment, I was like, thank God for her. Thank God for her. So yes, it was like, yeah, I was feeling more appreciated and held in higher value, but I was instantly also having so much love and appreciation for her being, for her honesty, for her integrity, for her wanting the best for me and wanting to go into this with me and saying, okay, look, it's like, I know you well enough to know that this is really what you want. And you're kind of like diluting this by going, oh, it's good. It's good. And it's like,
yeah,
I want good. You've never liked good. It's like, and as soon as she said about a C student is good, I'm like, oh, that's
yeah,
horrible. That's
yeah.
there's nothing okay about good. It's got to be excellent. I got again the A.
So if I can I just kind of to make an observation and share with you. So here in the context of relationship, we thought about those things that you love and those things that you want to feel. And in that state of mind and in that feeling, the universe reminded and showed you of the story you're telling, of a wonderful relationship, a relationship where there's appreciation for you and you're appreciating back, right? So like an actual example, right? Because your vibration lined up and it matched that moment, that thought where you feel that love and that connection, right? And so there, if you want, another great example of good and powerful relationships, and thank you so much for sharing that and bringing it out, but it shows and demonstrates a really fantastic relationship, right, that you already have.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually, ever since we mentioned the word invigorating, I've been feeling like that vibration actually in my heart center where it's like this, like there's this like low hum vibration that just feels really good.
Yeah,
I'm going, wow, just from doing this. It's like that's so incredible to me that like you
yeah.
said, it is an instant manifestation.
An instant manifestation. Terry, I know your call jumped for just a moment, and while I was thinking, when I was drawing these circles, saying kind of on these topics, if you felt any, that strong connection or those pull, if financial abundance, right, is something that you're wanting to go after, these become really good words that if you said practicing kind of, you're just mentally practicing the grid, like, those would be good words to just, continue. You find the emotion, you find the connection of it, keep it rolling, right? I love, Lillian, what you said about milking it, right? So this is something I've learned. When something good happens, I want to milk it. Like I just sit in that goodness of that moment as long as I can. Sometimes, one reason I wake up early to do my grid, and sometimes it only takes me, 15 minutes to do the grid. But if I'm feeling good, I just turn all the lights off and I sit on my couch for half an hour and I just absorb that and just remind myself and go, Clint, this is who you are. This is what you're capable of. This is what's leading you to your destiny. This is your connection, and just enjoy it, right? And if you can find someone, I like my friend Brad, we we'll text each other and I'll go, hey man, you want to appreciate with me? And he'll go, yeah. And so what we'll do is we'll just jump on the phone and we'll just go, man, I'll tell you what happened, this amazing thing. And we just start being thankful and milking that moment, because we know it's good for him and it's good for me, right? It's good for both of us, and it doesn't matter where it comes from, because it lifts us up and draws us closer to those things that we want.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I would, because I'm gonna probably write on my mirror in my bathroom, and possibly on my window in my master bathroom with my brown eyeliner. I might write uplifting, invigorating, growth, and perfection under a heart with love inside there, because I think that those are things to
It's
focus
beautiful.
on, because
Yeah.
it just gives you a nice feeling, a nice vibration. And it's just kind of like, it's almost like you're winking at yourself every time you see that. You're like, oh, yeah, I created that.
Yeah.
I came up with that, and that's just a little reminder. It's like looping back to me and going, yeah, it's like,
Yeah. Well, and also too, for anybody who might be listening, if that's, is we're going through these, if what you felt was, connection to health and well-being, and these words resonated, when you start your grid, just move them right over here, because they're progressive, well, alive, meaningful, flowering. And then you can build out, what are your asks for? Maybe if you feel pain, you could put the word relief here. If you feel, whatever it is, you can find. So if it's a negative emotion that's even present in your now moment, what is that ask? What am I asking for? And then you can build off this. You could say, well, what does alive and relief feel like? You know what I mean? And then you can find, even despite your pain, what that moment feels like, that target that you're looking for, and use the power of both words that you can reach, words that are easier, and start to use those words that are easy, that get you there in that moment, and reach for the ones that you want to add into your experience.
I really love.
Clint,
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
sorry, can you just go over that again? So if you wanted to, say if you were experiencing pain, where would you flop? Where would you go? What's the opposite to that? What do I really want to feel? And then
So
start with that.
no, and thank you so much, because there's a beautiful distinction available in what you're saying. We don't want to do opposite. We want to do opposite direction, right? So if you're feeling hate, you don't want to try to jump to love, right? So if you know what I mean? If you're feeling loneliness, right? What you might want to do is move to love. So you want to move away from that. So like, if you're feeling pain, a real easy thing that's in the opposite direction of pain is relief. I just want to feel relief. It's movement away from that, right? So if pain's down here, anything up is relief, right? So that creates motion away from it. So you could write, instead of pain, I want to feel relief from this pain. I want to feel whole. Whatever those words are to you, right? That are connected. When you ask yourself, if what I'm feeling now is pain, and pain is an ask for something, what is the answer to that ask? That word, just like the words came into your mind, those words start coming in your mind, you just kind of play with those words. So you go, yeah, that's if I felt that, it would help, it would get rid of this, it would answer the question that this pain is. And if that's relief, then do relief. And if you moved, these over here, and began your grid with well, alive, meaningful, and flowering, right? So your next word, you could write relief here. And then what you're going to be doing is looking at what is the combination of relief and alive. So essentially, whatever words you're going to run, they're gonna push through the grid this way, and these words are gonna push through the grid this way. Should create an intersection, right? And I know for me, typically, almost all the weeks by the time that I was down here, like I was just feeling amazing, right? And you feel, and what I found then is even if in the beginning some of these words were a struggle, by the time you get down here, you look back and you're going, oh yeah, I got those words. Like I got it, right? You know what I mean? Because you bring yourself up that vibration. And that's just one way that, of course, you could do this, right? Again, you can do it, verbal, you can do it mentally, you can go around in a circle. The method isn't nearly as important as taking the time to think about you, what you want, and giving yourself, showing yourself that not only do you deserve it, not only are you worthy of it, but you are fully capable in this now moment to feel it and experience it.
Wow, excellent. I was gobsmacked by the categories because I thought, wow. So rather than I'm just going to focus on health, I'm going to focus on other aspects of my life and build the whole lot in unison together. Because if I was just thinking, there'll be someone that's just thinking about money, 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 and then you get really narrow. But what about the other aspects? Because I've done that in the past. But if you can get the whole 4 categories and even more or different ones, you would be building a bigger, better, wider, well-rounded you.
That's 100% it. And to me, like I love it because Lillian said, why be a C student? Why be great in one subject? I want to be great in all of them. You know what I mean? Like whatever potential I have, I want to tap that well because you know what? I admittedly spent enough years of my life not tapping that potential, cutting myself off from it, not thinking I was deserved. I spent enough time doing that. Now that I realize I am deserving, I am worthy. You know what? Bring it. Like whatever you got for me, I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm gonna show my readiness by getting prepared. I'm gonna get in a zone and say, look, I'm in the vibration of this, so the inspiration that you send me, the ideas, the intellect, the opportunities, the rendezvous, whatever you send me, I'm gonna be waiting right here because I believe it's a promise that we do deserve these good things. We're capable of these things. These things are ours. We're not stealing from the universe in any of this. No one in the world felt a little less happy because of anything we did tonight. Right? We didn't take anything from anyone.
Yeah, the contrary is true. It's like the more happy you are, the more people feel happy around you. So you're gifting them whatever it is that you're feeling. If you're feeling downtrodden and depressed and angry and frustrated, then that's what you're giving them. But if you feel elevated and happy and excited and thrilled with life, then that's what you're gifting.
You're contributing that to the whole world, right?
So, and I think like what Lillian said about good, that word good, and sometimes the other word is nice. And I realized we say those words, but actually inside us, we actually feel bigger, better, more wild than that. But we hesitate because we wonder whether they can freaking digest it. And the crazy is I've got this young son with Down syndrome. Anybody asks him, how you doing? He goes, great. And he seriously jumps out of his skin. And I watch people's reactions like, how dare he say that? And he's actually feeling it. And I'm like, I look at him and go, good fucking on you. I wish I could.
Yeah, I love it, right? Exactly.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it is, right? And so how beautiful for you to create that space and allow that, for him, because, we in society, sometimes we do this, and there's 100 real reasons why we hold ourselves down, why we think we need to hold each other down. But you know what? None of them matter, right? None of them really matter, right? And that's I think to us the enlightening, right? It's taking off the burden of those things that we thought we had to do and realizing we're free to be this. This to me is part of that pathway to enlightenment, is just realizing you've got this. You are totally capable, and you've just proved it to yourself. You can do it because you can feel it. It's real in the now moment to you.
Beautiful.
That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. There's so much. Okay, I want to share an insight too. That there's, the universe, God. There's so many things that we can be used as an agent for greatness on this planet. There's unlimited abundance and prosperity, and the thing is, if our vessel is not willing to receive the full level of abundance that needs to come through, then the divine will find a more open and cleansed vessel to bring that through. If you only want to let 60 or 70% in, it's your choice. It's like, okay, if I've only been allowing good because for whatever conscious or unconscious reason, I haven't been allowing great, fantastic, phenomenal, a word I made up, whatever the case might be, then it's like, just like in the intuitive downloads that I talk about in my book about, for example, Clint, he had this grid work that came to him in meditation. If he wouldn't have received it, that energy would have found an easier avenue to go through that was less resistant, that would have brought it into this 3D plane of existence. And so
Yeah.
we have to ask ourselves, it's like, am I going to get in my own way of allowing that incredible greatness, that wonderful energy to come through? Because the
Yeah.
only one who can stop it is me.
Yeah, there's a I love that. It made me think. I don't know if anybody watches Ted Lasso out there. It's a fantastic
I
show. It's
love
so
that
sweet.
show.
But there's like right in the opening thing, there's the blonde-haired lady Rebecca, and then there's that gentleman that works with her, and I can't remember exactly what his name
That is
was,
nice.
but it's that like Walter Wilson or something, right? But she's looking at this picture and she goes, "Do you want this picture?" And he goes, "Oh, but that's got to be worth £1,000,000." She goes, "You're right. You should have said yes." Right. And so like in that moment he lost it, right? Because but because he was like, "Oh, I can't do that, it's £1,000,000." She goes, "You're right, you should have said yes." So to me, I'm like, look, I'm saying yes. Like, someone's like, "Hey, you want if the universe is going, Clint, you want this, you want love, you want this connection, you want this." I'm like, "Yep, right here. I'm for it." I'm all about it because you know the other choice is just to live without it. And if it's available to you and you're not taking anything from anybody, live it, be it, embrace it, bring it into this world, birth it into our human experience. Because I believe with all my heart, the more of this there is out there, the better this planet gets to ride through space on.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. And I think you know what, for those who are watching this particular session, and for all of us who are on here, I would love to do a challenge and see in the next 7 days between now and our next class. I would like to see how often we're willing to say yes to things that normally we would say no. So like someone, opens a door for you. It's like, oh, that's so sweet. Oh, you don't have to. I used to say, oh, you don't have to do that. I'm like, no, they don't have to do that, but they chose to do it. Just be grateful, right?
Yeah,
You need help with your bags as I'm struggling. I've got to make multiple trips. The answer would be yes. So how often, male or female, how often are things offered to us and we say, oh, no, thank you. Really deep inside you want to say yes, but you're like, oh, it's like you don't want to inconvenience or put anyone out. The thing is, they they wouldn't be offering it. It
right,
they, if they felt that they were put out, they probably wouldn't do it. So
right.
the reality is, it's like, just as they're offering you a gift, you're accepting their graciousness in that moment is also a gift, because the energy is allowed to flow. It's already expressed itself wanting to move towards you. And just as you say yes and thank you and then appreciate the source from where that's coming, then that is a gift back to that person, so that that energy can continue to multiply, not just stay as it is,
Yeah,
because it encourages that source, that person, just as it encourages you as you are able to gift to others, and they are willing and able and choosing to receive. That makes you feel great, and you're like, oh, I felt so
it
good. I
it
felt
it,
like
it
Santa
is.
Claus.
There's a total cycle there, because as we want to give, we have to be willing to receive. Because if we can acknowledge that it feels good to give, but
Yes,
then we refuse to receive from people, we're saying it's okay for me to feel good, but not okay for you.
that's not cool. That feels
Right? It's not cool. So if it's okay for me to give and it's okay for me to love, it's okay for them to give and it's okay for me to be loved, right? You have to let it go all the way around and breathe in and out of you. And that's how you stay that wholeness. Because if you're cutting yourself off from that replenishment and you're just giving, right? You're gonna find yourself down. You're gonna find yourself wore out. You're gonna find yourself not wanting to give anymore because you get compassion fatigue, right? You have to be willing to accept some of that kindness back.
so. And that is, believe it or not, the genesis, the beginning of a lot of emotional constipation stems from that. And
Hmm.
people are completely unaware that it's something as innocuous as that. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what? Yeah, you're willing to give, and you're not so willing to receive. What is it? Pride? Is it arrogance? Is it ignorance? It's something. It's not you
It's
being
still at the core of it, it's still a lack mindset, because what you're saying
it
is,
is.
look, I don't need you to give to me because there's not enough to go around, so I'm not going to take what you're willing to give to me, right? But that again, it's putting boxes and limits, and it's done from a place that almost feels sometimes like integrity or protection or love. It doesn't always come from a bad place, but
No.
we get it a little twisted in our mind. And so that's why sometimes I think some of the things we see that we feel are so horrible, they didn't come from a really horrible place. There was no mad evil doctor going, I just like the death of humans, out there. And you know what I mean? Like, we think it's that way, but it doesn't. Sometimes it comes with just some misunderstanding, right? And so if we can start to develop in ourselves the understanding of what it means to be alive, and the beauty of the human emotional system and how we can benefit from it, and we can start to appreciate, as your friend did, and raise and elevate those emotions, those misunderstandings, they can't exist because they don't match these vibrations. So when you get in those places, people aren't going to be able to think that way. What'll happen, I've seen this, is sometimes, you start to lift that vibration up, people will just, they can't even reach that thought. They're like, I was mad about something, but I just can't even remember what it was. And to me, I know I've done good work at that point, right? Because I'm like, look, you can't even find what makes you angry if you feel so good right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. I don't know if anyone here has any other questions. Oops, it looks like we lost Terry again. Her cell phone internet connection keeps dropping. Poor thing.
Yeah.
But we're getting here, I think, close to we're at about
Yeah.
the hour mark. So I don't know if there's any other questions or comments that you might have, Tony.
I'm just loving that you've offered this, that you're doing this, that we're doing this, and I'm touched by it. I'm really looking forward to it, even though I slipped today. But
All right.
just the generosity of it, the generosity of all of us, or your energies, and it's like, wow, it's like it builds, and it's like this is getting richer, and it's just gorgeous. I had no idea that this is possible. So
It
sort of
feels good,
exploding.
right?
It feels good. It feels good. I have, what a lovely thing to be on this line. I'm in Melbourne, Australia, building. Like my state was different half an hour ago to now,
Yeah.
and my day is going to be so different.
I'm
And
so excited. I'm so excited. Next week I would love if you're able to make it. I want to hear just how the rest of your day went, because I know it's going to be
yeah,
good.
freaking better. It better be. I promise
Freaking better. And that's phenomenal, maybe.
you. Yeah. Yeah, and why not? You see, we have this hesitation. Well, what could it be? Well, what if we just, from the moment we wake up, today's has already been a great day, is to be able to say that it's a great day, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because we know that we can create that, we know that, but we wait for the things to sort of bump us off so we can have something to fight against. What if you're not looking for that and you're just looking, great day was had already?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, what you're touching on is sometimes we get into a habit of letting our day create us, but what you're
Yeah.
talking about is creating our day.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting up, you're saying, look, this is the day I'm gonna have. It looks like this. This is the day I'm gonna have. Now your day's not creating you. It might try. There might be some
Yeah.
momentum there that's trying to say, hey, look, Tony, you weren't feeling this good
Yeah.
yesterday. I need you to go back.
Yeah.
Nope, no, this is
Yeah.
how I want to feel today. I made that decision because that's a decision. Look, this is freedom. No one can take
Yeah.
this from you. No one can
Yeah.
sit down and say, you can't think about happy. No, like, because there's nothing there to keep that from you. You're completely liberated and enabled. And any moment that you can find that time and find that space and create it for yourself, there's an unending well of these things for you.
So you saying that every moment could be potentially a blossoming moment, even if the hell was like I was about to hit my son, then I thought, oh shit, I'm online, I better not hit him. And so I would just not let him on. But it was interesting because there was an energy fluctuation, and I had a choice in that moment. I was either like, or let's just stay in the love, regardless of whether he's at my feet or not, stay in the love.
Yeah.
He can be wanting what he wants, but you can still be in the love. Stop getting yourself thrown off. And I could feel that I was about to get thrown off. So
Yeah. So
I have a choice.
Wow.
That's what I've experienced too. And I know Lillian, we said we're going to get close to wrap up, but I just want to touch on that is as I started to practice these emotions, the things that were around that would bump, I could feel those things that were trying to knock me off. And I'm like, no, I want to stay here. But what I had to do was I had to then grow in my thinking about these situations and go, look, how do I become more accepting of this so that that moment doesn't throw me off anymore? My kids every morning when I'd be meditating, they just bust open the door and come and be like, "Good morning, Dad," and like I'm like, "Good morning," and it's all happy, but I'm like, kind of in my trying to get my zen on, and like,
Yeah.
and like, I had to start to go, you know what? I'm just gonna love this moment because I understand that the same source energy, the same life force in the universe that was filling my cup the minute before that door opened is going to be there the minute the door
Yes.
closes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm just going to, and I call my kids over and I let them crawl up in my lap and I hug them and I love them
Yes.
and I talk to them and I let them tell me the first real brilliant, bright thing in the morning. And then I say, okay, now you go play. I'm going to finish meditating. And they go, okay, Dad. And they'll walk out and shut the door, just happy.
Yeah.
And I used to fight that moment. I used to go, oh, I got to control this. I'm going to lock the door and keep
Yes.
the kids out, but now I just open it and I welcome it because but it takes practice. It took me a lot of practice. Maybe some people get there much faster, but for me, it took some work. It took just getting down every day and just going, I got to figure this out. I want this all the time. How do I have this all the time? Because I know there's enough for me to have it all the time. So if I'm not having it all the time, something's going on here that I need to change.
What's interesting is that was an expression of love. Your kids coming in and saying, "Good morning, Dad." They don't want to spend 30 minutes with you. They just want to say, "Good morning, Dad." And then, they woke up full of energy. They got to
Yeah.
go, 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 go. So they don't want to linger. They want to move on to whatever they're doing, but they want to say, "Good morning, Dad." So
Yeah.
it's that little injection of love energy, which is you were, trying to get your Zen on, which is love energy, and you had a
I
big
know,
burst
but
of it.
I didn't make the connection.
Hey, all parents do that. So it's just evidence of your humanity. But I
Right.
think it's just so interesting that you had at least the recognition. You're like, wait a minute, the reason why I'm doing this is to feel this love coming from all different places and have it emanate from me and come back to me. And here it is. I just did a little bit of this, and immediately I had this big energy of, hey,
Yeah.
good morning, Dad. It's like, okay, it's like, wow, it's just feeding that well. And so
Yeah, and nothing that enters into your experience truly has power over you. You're the one drawing, calling, allowing, not allowing, all of that stuff. And that's, I think, for us and where we are in our current kind of state and humanity, civilization, all that, that's a lot because all of a sudden we're like, well, look, no one prepared me for this when I was 12. Like, like no one
no.
teaches you this and we're figuring it out. And so, you know, I, Tony, you talked about the generosity and the offering. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be sharing. I'm so happy you're here and Lillian and that we're connecting because I'm like, look, like I said, it doesn't matter how you do it, but I think it is our responsibility as the adult generation moving in and being dominant on this planet. We got to figure this out. We got to figure out how to talk to each other. We got to figure out how to love each other. We got to figure out how to love ourselves. I mean, it starts there because that's where it's going to come from. Once we can figure out how to love ourselves, loving everybody else is going to get a lot easier. And the more we can spread that, the easier it becomes and the easier it becomes, right? Yeah.
The easier it becomes. One of the beautiful things about this grid work is that it's encoding our reticular activating system. Again, it's this human mind programming grid word code that is actually having us embody this so that we actually manifest it on the outside. And now our reticular activating system is now, it's like on this search mission to
Yep.
find these words that we've encoded. So I know that we've talked about in previous broadcasts about asking effective questions. So if instead of going, as you start your day going, it's like, okay, what else, what's going to go wrong? Or, what am I doing wrong? If instead your focus and your perspective is, okay, you did your grid work and now you're going, how much better can this get? Because you know what you felt like before you did the grid word, and now
Mhm.
you've done this grid work. You're feeling elevated. You're vibrating at a higher level now. You're feeling much better, more invigorated. So now the effective question is for the rest of the day is how much better can this get? Because just because you're at this state after having finished this doesn't mean you're going to stay at that frequency. You
Yeah.
can choose to have it continuously going up, because now as you ask, how much better can it get? I'm going to have you read this. So
How much better can it get? Yeah.
how much better can it get? So
Yeah.
now you're looking for evidence to come back to you that shows you how much better can it get. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's like Christmas, because you have the signs, the symbols, the synchronicity, the magical stuff that's going on, that you're like, oh my gosh, I know that had I not done this work, had I not set my vibrational frequency, had I not set my intention with these words moving forward in my day, I know that I would not be experiencing this. It's like, why would I ever go back? And of course, we're human, so we're going to have our days that we backslide, we forget, whatever the reason is. But in the moment that we realize, oh, wait a minute, this is what's different. I didn't do this today. I didn't do that today. I'm in a different room. I'm in a different place. Whatever the case might be, it's like, that's why I'm not feeling as happy and as joyous as I normally do. But I know how to turn it around right away.
Do you know how to turn it around? Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, and I'll admit, sometimes that turning around is easy and you go right to it. Sometimes you explore, but that exploration, that is the wonder, right? Because that's your brain, your neuroplasticity is kicking in. You're building new neural pathways. You're letting go of old ones. You're discovering, you're learning who you are and learning who the real you is and how that interacts in this space without anyone else teaching you or coaching you or giving you anything. It's just you and what is your connection to life, good feelings. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, I better be quiet because I'll talk all night. So I know we got to wrap things up, but thank you so much.
So this is absolutely fantastic. This is our 4th of our 5th week series. How much better can it get? I can assure you it can get infinitely better. And I challenge you guys to do this work. Hey, you can borrow the words that we used tonight. You can go to Google and look at, just Google positive feeling emotional words, and it'll give you a whole list. If you are having trouble coming up with words, use Google it, baby. Google it, and then pick which ones resonate, the ones that pop off the page, the ones that feel the best to you, and then use those words. You can start to basically you're making not just this word code, but it's like a word salad of how you want to feel, what you want to focus on over the next 24 hours. And don't underestimate the power of this. And I would dare say, if you want to kick this up a notch, one thing that I've been playing with this last week with my grid work is I've been leaving overnight one of my bottles of water. I leave it 24 hours over the words, because it's kind of along the lines of Dr. Imarasu Emoto, the guy who did the science experiments with water and with freezing the water and seeing how the formation of the crystals were actually altered by high vibration words like love, joy, and bliss, as opposed to hate, anger, and fear. And it did change the structure of the water. And so I know it makes a difference. And so I've been putting my water, I'm like, I already wrote the grid words. Why keep it locked up in my composition notebook? No, let's kick it up a notch. So I take the words, I just set the water bottle right on there, and then the next day I drink that water that has been vibrating with all that energy for hours.
It's like a little love battery you just created. And I love, Tony, thank you so much for a couple weeks ago just bringing that idea up, right? But just sit it on there and let it charge up like your cell phone overnight. You just letting it get love and goodness, and you just got a good drink of it right first thing in the morning. I think it's brilliant.
You're programming your water. That was brilliant of you.
So Clint, did you sleep on it? I haven't, but did you?
Yeah.
Have you slept on it yet?
Well, I keep my stuff right by my pillow anyway, so it's right there. So it's with me almost all the time. I'm not always, usually very far from my notebook and all my little grid work.
Yeah, I find it's astounding because I'm so in my heart, and I'm like, all we're doing is playing with words, and how dare we do this, or we pander with this. It's like, sometimes I'll get up and I'll meditate, and I'm like, oh, will I put breakfast on? Is that important? It's like, no. This grid is more important than the next step. It's like, part of your there's a hierarchy, and it's like, well, you know, the day
Yeah.
doesn't begin until I do this, because then I do the water thing, like I'm take supplements and I'll stick that on. It's like, game doesn't begin until I do this.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, and it's not even just that the grid's more important than breakfast. It's that you know how you feel is more important than breakfast, right?
Yeah.
That's that hook, right?
Yeah.
It's when feeling good is important to you, and that's
Yeah.
what it's got to be. It's got to be important to you, and you know, like I know for me, once I started feeling good, it was important to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I want this. I want this every day, right? So, you know, and that's that self-value. Go ahead, you.
My question to you all: are you trying to get your Zen on?
Yeah.
So if you want to get your Zen on, you want to feel good, you want to program yourself to feel the way you want to feel as opposed to going by default mode, I would say hop on the bandwagon. You cannot mess this up. And I want to emphasize the power of words, because I think oftentimes people say, oh, it's just words. Oh, it's just a spoken word. It's just a written word. But listen, two of the most powerful words on the human planet are I do. Because with I do, you can commit yourself for a lifetime
Mm-hmm.
to another person. Just 2 words.
Yeah.
2 words.
Yeah.
You can, with 4 words, the leader of any country can start a war and say, let's go to war.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
They convey meaning.
Just 4 words. That's it.
Yeah.
Or with 2 words, he can end it. It's over. Game over. And with 2 words, an entire war can be stopped.
Yeah.
And so let's not underestimate the power of words. The spoken word, the written word, when you put both, the spoken, you're thinking the word, you're saying the word, and now you're writing the word. Like Clint said, we actually manifested something while we created the grid. I'm still feeling that buzzing sensation in my heart center
Yeah.
as a result of doing this grid work. That is a manifestation. A thought is a manifestation. The written word is a manifestation. The sensation is a manifestation. So now you got 3 layers of manifestation going. It's no wonder that it's going to pop out into your 3D experience. It's inevitable. But only you can do it, baby. Wouldn't you agree, Clint?
100%. Yes. Not only can you do it, but you're the only one who can do it for yourself.
For
You're the
yourself.
only one who can do it for yourself. And that's the important part. You got to do it for yourself. You got to love yourself enough to do this.
Yeah. Well, next week we are going to continue expanding upon this human mind programming word code, this grid work that Clint has created and continues to astound us, how now you can cover all the different aspects of your life. We narrowed it down to 4, and pardon my little my daughter's an artist. I'm not necessarily an artist, but this is week 4 of 5, and here's your grid words. You've got the general now, the finances, the health, the love, 4 major areas of life, but there's no limit. If you want to do 3 areas of life, if you have 5, 6, or 7 areas of life that you're looking, maybe you want to have finances broken down into finances and investing. Maybe your health is not just health and wellness, but also your workout. It's up to you. So you get to choose how many words. Do you want to do 3 words for each section? It doesn't matter. We've already talked about that, but we're going to continue to expand on this theme next week, which will be our last in our free series of this grid work. And so if you have any questions, any comments, or concerns, both Clint and I are here available for you. Just go ahead. This is like an online classroom. In the YouTube comments below, just tell us what your questions are, what your comments are, your concerns. If it's a complaint, because Clint's name starts with a C, we'll direct it. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm just teasing. We don't normally get complainers. Questions, comments, or concerns, seriously, put them in the comments below. If you have something that you would like us to expand on, maybe an area that you feel that we haven't touched, go ahead, put it in the comments below. We'll do our best to read those comments and to address whatever questions you have. And until then, my friends and gems, I think that's all I have now. Do you have any other things that you would like to add at this point in time, Clint?
No, I'm good. It's been a blessing. Thank you so much.
All righty. Well, ciao for now, my friends and gems.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Tony. Thanks for
Bye
participating.
bye.
Bye.